Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway, and you're tuned in into Wild Podcast. By all means, go to wildpodcast.me. That's WOWPODCAST.me. Now, today we have a special guest. We have Cheryl LeGrand. She's here to talk to us about her latest book, By His Stripes I Am Healed, Life Behind Lupus. Cheryl, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine this evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. So tell me about this latest book that you have coming out.
Okay, the book that I just came out, which is my last book, is By His Stripes I'm Healed, Life Behind Lupus. And one of the reasons why I wrote this book is because a lot of people, I found out after I wrote the book, have lupus, and it's not really talked about a lot. I could tell anybody from my experience finding out maybe about 8 years ago, the first maybe 4 or 5, it was ignored chronic, I'm going to say, because of the fact that when I had insurance and I was married, I seen that I was getting a lot of treatment, a lot of therapy, but once my insurance canceled, it was ignored. And I was going back and forth to the doctor, but they wasn't looking at it. And as far as me, I wasn't looking at it until my blood pressure kept going back and forth. And I was going back and forth in the hospital until I went to this place called Urban Ministry. And they was like, have anybody told you you had lupus? And I said, yes, about 4 or 5 years ago. They said, you still have it. So I wanted to tell my viewers, whenever there's any kind of diagnosis in your body or whatever the situation is, even if you're not sure, do your own research, because what happens when we don't, it goes into another problem. Mine went into blood pressure. And at that time, I was on all kinds of medication, and it wasn't even the right medication until they started digging and doing more research. Once they did more research, and I still didn't have insurance, but at least I was somewhere where they realized that it didn't go away. So once they determined that and they got me to the right help, that's when I started getting insurance, and that took maybe a year after. But in that time, I was redirected. So I started doing research. I got a book on it. They started telling me what to do and what not to do, and I could tell my viewers, even while you're doing your research of your medication and all of the different kinds of lupus, there's different kinds, so you need to learn that. You still need to be following directions, because we can believe in God, but at the same time, God said it's order. And if your health go, everything else is going to go. So I had to transition in my whole life to react into what I thought, what I ignored, and then what I knew in my own research.
So tell me about the time when you first got diagnosed. What was your outlook on life moving forward?
Well, when I first got diagnosed, my knee had popped. I was working with kids. So they told me I had a torn meniscus. So at that time after I had the surgery, I kept going to therapy, but my knee would never heal. And the first thing they said was, you have lupus. So my reaction was like, what is lupus, number one? So I told a family member, and she was like, in the name of Jesus, you don't have that. So when she said that, that triggered in my mind, but she right, I don't have that. So what I did, as they were seeing me, and I kept going to therapy, then they told me when my knee didn't heal, they said, well, you need another surgery. So in 2 years, I had 2 surgeries. But the lupus was never getting diagnosed. They told me that, but they was working on my knee. So then they start sticking needles in my knee, telling me I need ibuprofen, but that was not the issue. It might have caused and triggered the issue, but it still wasn't talking about the lupus. When they got through with all the surgeries, by that time, there was no more insurance for me because I was no longer married, so I didn't have no insurance. So, yes, my life was like, man. So then I'm going back, like I said, to the hospital. My blood pressure just keeps escalating. And I'm going to every doctor asking them, and I'm learning, and please, viewers, listen. If you don't have the right type of insurance, and I don't care what kind of hospital you go to, they're not going to diagnose that problem. They're going to diagnose what you tell them, and they're going to diagnose what they see. So they were so busy focusing on my blood pressure. Once again, the lupus was ignored because in my mind, I'm like, God got me. God has us, but we have to have knowledge at the same time. And I tell anybody, yes, God has us, but have knowledge in order for your own direction instead of just listening to the doctor.
So throughout this book, is it more so like a step-by-step guide on how to take care of yourself, or is this more so telling your story about how you got diagnosed and what you're doing to cope?
This book is about how it first started, when did I find out, and what did I do? And what did I do? Even when a doctor now give me any type of medication, I Google it, or I might even get a second opinion. Even if a doctor tell you have something for yourself, get 1, 2, 3 opinions, still follow the directions, exercise, do everything that they tell you, but you have to read up on your medication because some medications cause allergic reaction, some will keep you up all night, and you have to talk to them as well. But just don't let someone tell you something and you just ignore it and pass it through. And that's what I wanted to tell my viewers. Pay attention to your body, number one. Pay attention when it changes. And number 3, you be the one that do the digging instead of letting a doctor or somebody dictate what's going on with you. And remember, if your mind is not in order with your body, that is going to cause more problems.
So let's tell everybody how they can get in contact with you and where they can go to purchase your book.
You can go on Amazon online, which my name is Cheryl LeGrand. You can go on my author page, which is Cheryl LeGrand, and my Facebook is Cheryl Northern LeGrand, and I'm on Instagram as Northern LeGrand. And what I wanted to say to the viewers right now, this is a topic that I found out after I announced that I had lupus. I put it out there. Other family members and friends have it, but they treat it like it's a disease that they don't want to discuss. I think it really needs to be discussed. I am blessed, even though I get major pain. I'm going to still say it's a blessing because some people have to do chemo, it's their liver and their kidneys. Mine is more so joint pain, which can get severe. So I'm going to tell all my viewers, whether it's lupus or anything, just try to stay in order within yourself. Pray about it. At the same time, they tell you to exercise, they tell you what to eat or what. Please try to follow that because when you don't, it can cause 3, 4 other problems, and maybe they could have dealt with that small problem. But if we don't do what the doctors say, it can cause a lot of other problems, okay? And at the same time, for yourself, okay, do some more research. Find out. Don't let something be going on in your body because when I grew up, my family was older, they ignored a lot of problems. And by the time they found out they had stage 4 cancer or something was going on. We have the technology now and we have the doctors now. We have all kinds of different avenues that we can do research. We do not have to be illiterate to anything that we are going through right now. So that's my advice to viewers. Please do your research. If something is hurting, if something's not right, don't sit there. Don't try to do your own remedy, and don't ignore it when you hear it that first time. You believe in God, you pray about it, and you ask God to direct you into the right resource. You don't claim it, you don't speak it, but you cannot ignore it at the same time. So with my lupus, I can't get too excited. It is joint pain. I do take medication, but if that medication is bothering me, I let them know. I Google, I do my research, and I ask questions. Don't let them diagnose you without you diagnosing yourself first. And that's what I wanted to give my viewers, and that's about anything when it comes to a chronic illness.
Well, I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. We're talking to author Cheryl LeGrand. She's here talking to us about her latest book, By His Stripes, I Am Healed, Life Behind Lupus. Cheryl, thank you so much for the wonderful information.
Thank you so much for always giving me an opportunity to share. It is truly a blessing to always be on your podcast.
Thank you.